The days blur into one another as Chris settles into his new role at Tesla. It's a life far removed from the one he used to know. The dimly lit aisles of the gas station, the hum of the old pumps, the quiet isolation of his small apartment. Now he's immersed in the rapid pace of innovation, surrounded by engineers, developers, and a team of people who are all pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But amidst the excitement, there's something gnawing at him, a quiet whisper of doubt that seems to follow him wherever he goes. It's not the technical challenges he's facing, the code, the algorithms, the system refinements. Those he can handle. It's the other part, the part that feels out of his depth. Leadership. Every morning as he walks into the office, he's reminded of the responsibility that comes with his new role. He's no longer just a programmer. He's the one driving the project forward. And that weight, heavy as it is, sits on his shoulders every hour of every day. His team looks to him for direction, for confidence, and more often than not, he wonders if he's ready to provide it. That evening, as the sun begins to set, Chris sits at his desk, the faint glow of his computer screen illuminating the tired lines of his face. His mind races as he sifts through the data he's been analyzing for hours. The AI model is performing better than expected, but there's still so much to do. His phone buzzes on the desk, a text from his old friend Lucas. "You good? Haven't heard from you in a while. You've been working non-stop, huh?" Chris stares at the message for a moment, the familiar name pulling him back to his past. He hasn't talked to Lucas much since joining Tesla. Between the late nights and the growing pressure to lead, it's been hard to maintain the relationships that used to mean so much to him. Lucas was the one who encouraged him to pursue coding in the first place, the one who believed in him when Chris couldn't see it himself. Chris sighs and begins typing a response. "Yeah, a lot's changed. New job, new life. Feels like it's moving too fast. Sometimes I'm not sure I'm cut out for this." He hits send, feeling a strange sense of relief. As much as the world around him has changed, his doubts are still the same, unseen but persistent. Moments like this, when he pauses and allows himself to be vulnerable, bring the weight of it all to the forefront. His phone buzzes again. Lucas's reply is swift. "You always second-guess yourself, man, but look where you are. This is what you've worked for. Don't let it slip away just because it feels tough." Chris leans back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "What if it's all too much?" he types, his fingers hesitating on the keys. "What if I'm not ready to lead?" Lucas's reply is instant. "You were ready the moment you took the leap. Trust me, you've got this. You just have to decide that you do." Chris stares at the screen, the words sitting with him longer than they should. He reads them again. The decision, about whether he can really take this on, about whether he's truly cut out for this next level of responsibility, has been weighing on him ever since Elon first offered him the lead role in the project. It wasn't just an opportunity, it was a test. And deep down, Chris knew he wasn't just testing his skills. He was testing his own belief in himself. He takes a deep breath, the weight in his chest growing heavier. What if Lucas is right? What if he's been running from the truth all along? That he's always had the potential to do something like this, but he's been too afraid to acknowledge it. Chris's phone buzzes again. This time it's an email from Elon. He opens it and reads the short, direct message. "Meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We need to discuss next steps for the AI project. Hope you're ready to take things to the next level." The words jump off the screen, a reminder of the growing expectations. And as he stares at the message, something clicks inside him. He closes his eyes for a moment, visualizing everything that has brought him here. His late-night coding sessions, the hours spent trying to understand concepts that felt foreign, the leap of faith he took when he said yes to Elon's offer. "I can do this," he thinks. The decision isn't just about technical capability anymore. It's about whether he believes in himself enough to take the lead, to step up and guide this project, and by extension, his team, toward something greater. It's a new chapter, one that requires him to let go of the fear of failure and embrace the unknown. His phone buzzes again. Another message from Lucas. "Just remember, you wouldn't be there if you didn't deserve it. Go get 'em, champ." Chris smiles faintly at the words. For the first time in days, the pressure feels a little less heavy. He's not just a coder, he's a leader now. And whether he's fully ready or not, he knows it's time to step up. With a final glance at his screen, Chris closes his laptop. He stands up from the desk, takes a long look out of the window, and feels the cool night air sweep through the open window. For the first time, he doesn't feel the weight of doubt pulling him back. Tomorrow, when he meets Elon and the team, it won't just be a conversation about the project. It'll be about Chris, about the decision he's made to take his future into his own hands. Tomorrow, he'll be ready. The morning sun filters through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Tesla headquarters, casting a warm glow across the modern, minimalist office space. Chris stands by his desk, staring at the wall of screens before him. The familiar hum of the building, a sharp contrast to the quiet of the gas station he left behind. The once overwhelming sense of being out of place has begun to fade, replaced by a quiet determination. He's no longer the unsure coder fumbling through a new world. He's the one leading a project that could change the future. But as the day begins, so does the weight of what he has taken on. The pressure to perform, to succeed, to meet the high expectations set by Elon and the team. Chris can feel it rising, even as he tries to push it aside. The challenges are different now. It's no longer about understanding the complex algorithms he's building. It's about understanding his role as a leader. And that, more than anything, makes him pause. He runs a hand through his hair, still unsure of how he's supposed to balance all of it. The technical, the personal, the leadership. Every team meeting feels like a test, one where he has to prove he's worthy of the trust Elon has placed in him. It's not just the code anymore. It's the people, the decisions, and the sheer magnitude of what they're building together. At 9 a.m., the team gathers for their weekly check-in. The conference room is sleek, filled with sharp, focused faces. The team members are discussing timelines, testing protocols, and refinement strategies for the AI project. Chris watches them, feeling the familiar unease bubbling up in his chest. The room is filled with experts, people who have been in the industry for years. And then there's him, a self-taught programmer with no formal background, now standing at the helm of a groundbreaking project. The conversation swirls around him, technical jargon and rapid-fire ideas filling the air. Chris listens intently, absorbing everything, trying to make sense of it all. He's aware that this is where his leadership needs to shine, but it's hard to step forward when everyone else seems to have a clear sense of direction. Just as the conversation starts to lose focus, Chris clears his throat. The room quiets and all eyes shift toward him. It's a subtle shift, but it feels monumental. "I think we need to reframe how we approach the next stage," Chris says, his voice steady, but carrying more authority than he feels. "We've been so focused on refinement that we're missing the bigger picture. This AI system isn't just about improving what we have. It's about pushing the boundaries, creating something adaptive, something that evolves in real time, and not just within a controlled environment." There's a pause. A few team members exchange glances, but then one of the senior engineers, Emma, speaks up. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Chris straightens in his chair, feeling the weight of their eyes on him. "We need to start thinking beyond just functionality. I want to see this system interact with the real world, outside of controlled test cases. Let's build scenarios that challenge its learning capacity, push its limits. The AI needs to adapt to chaos, not just order. That's where its true power lies." The room falls silent for a moment as the team processes what he's said. Chris holds his breath, unsure of how they'll react. He's thrown out a bold idea, one that could either inspire or alienate them. But then, Emma nods thoughtfully, followed by another engineer, Max, who adds, "It's ambitious, but it could work." Slowly, the team begins to warm to the idea. Chris finds himself caught in a wave of momentum, his earlier hesitation replaced by something else, a growing confidence. They begin brainstorming, tossing out ideas, refining the approach. The conversation becomes lively, energetic, a flurry of creativity and possibility. By the end of the meeting, Chris realizes something. He's not just contributing ideas anymore. He's driving the direction. The team is following his lead, not because of his title, but because they believe in the vision he's setting. There's a shift in how they interact with him. It's not just about the tech anymore, it's about trust. And for the first time, Chris feels like he's truly earned it. As the meeting wraps up and the team scatters to their respective tasks, Chris lingers by the window, looking out at the sprawling Tesla campus. The weight of responsibility is still there, but it's different now. He's no longer just the guy struggling to catch up. He's the one shaping the path forward. His phone buzzes in his pocket, and he pulls it out, finding a text from Elon. "Great work today. Keep pushing the boundaries. This is just the beginning." A small smile tugs at Chris's lips as he reads the message. It's a simple acknowledgement, but it means more than Elon knows. The praise isn't just about the project. It's about Chris himself. And for the first time, he feels like he belongs here. He's no longer an imposter. He's part of something bigger, something that could change the world. As he heads back to his desk, he feels a sense of clarity settling over him. There will be more challenges ahead, no doubt, but for the first time, he knows he's ready to face them. He's not just leading a project, he's leading a revolution. And the best part? He doesn't have to do it alone. A few weeks later, the AI system is finally beginning to show its true potential. The code is evolving, but so is Chris. With each new challenge, he's learning not only how to refine the AI, but how to manage his team, make decisions quickly, and maintain his own sense of direction amid the pressures of leadership. It's a balance that some days feels impossible to maintain. But there's a spark in him now that wasn't there before, a belief that he can actually lead this project to success. Today, however, is different. Chris stands in front of the large display screen in the conference room, watching as the latest iteration of the AI system runs its final test. The data streams across the screen, numbers and graphs dancing in a chaotic yet organized pattern. For the first time, everything feels aligned. The tests they've been conducting have been successful, far more successful than he ever imagined. The AI is adapting to real-world scenarios, making decisions, and adjusting in ways that felt almost impossible when they first started. But Chris knows the hard work is far from over. As the final test draws to a close, he watches closely, knowing that the next steps will require even more precision. One wrong move, one flaw in the system, could bring everything crashing down. "Let's do it," Chris says quietly as he presses the button to run the final command. The room falls silent as the system executes the last set of instructions. For a long moment, nothing happens. The team, who has been gathered around the screen for the past hour, waits with bated breath. Then, the AI responds. The system adapts, recognizes the input, and adjusts in real time, exactly as Chris had envisioned. The room erupts into applause, and Chris feels a rush of pride. It's not just about the technology. It's about the moment when everything finally clicks. The culmination of weeks of hard work, sleepless nights, and countless failures along the way. Elon, who had been watching from the back of the room, steps forward, a smile on his face. "Well done, Chris," he says, his voice steady, but filled with pride. "This is a major breakthrough. I knew you had it in you." Chris, his heart still racing, looks up at Elon, trying to maintain his composure. "We did it, all of us," he says, acknowledging the team's contribution. The sense of collaboration in the room is palpable. This is no longer just his project. It belongs to everyone who has poured their effort into making this vision a reality. But even as Chris basks in the moment of victory, he feels the familiar pang of uncertainty tugging at the edges of his mind. This is just the beginning. There are still so many questions to answer, so many hurdles to clear. The AI may be capable of adapting in real time, but how will it handle even more complex scenarios? Will it scale to the level they need it to? Elon seems to read his mind. "The next stage is even bigger, Chris," he says, his tone now serious. "We've got a foundation, but now we need to see how this works in the real world. We need to integrate it into systems that will test its limits." Chris nods, the weight of Elon's words sinking in. He knows this is just the start of something bigger than himself. "I'm ready," he says, more confidently than he feels. "We'll push it further." As the team begins to gather their things and head out, Chris lingers for a moment, his eyes fixed on the screen. The breakthrough is exciting, yes, but it's also a reminder of how far they still have to go. The stakes are rising, and the responsibility to make sure this works isn't something he can ignore. Later that evening, as Chris sits alone at his desk, going over the test data, he's interrupted by a familiar ping on his phone. It's a message from Lucas. "How's it going, champ?" "You're changing the game, I know it." Chris smiles at the message, but it doesn't completely erase the tension he feels. "It's going well," he types back, "but there's still a lot to figure out." He sets his phone down and takes a deep breath. For a moment, he allows himself to feel the weight of everything that's happened: the breakthrough, the praise, the overwhelming sense of accomplishment. But he also feels the sense of responsibility that comes with it. This isn't just about making a great AI. It's about making sure it works in the real world. And that means moving beyond theory, beyond controlled tests, and into the unknown. Chris leans back in his chair, staring at the screen in front of him. He's made it this far, but the real challenge, the one that will define this project, is still ahead of him. Tomorrow, they'll take it to the next level. And for the first time, Chris feels the excitement of the unknown, the excitement of leading something that could change everything. It's not just the breakthrough that matters now, it's the path they'll take next. And Chris knows he's ready for it. The days that follow the breakthrough are a blur. Chris has never felt more alive or more burdened than he does now. Every conversation, every meeting is a reminder that they've crossed a threshold, a point of no return. What was once an ambitious project is now a living, breathing system, with the potential to change industries, reshape entire sectors, and push the boundaries of what's possible with AI. Yet, as the excitement of the initial success fades, Chris feels the weight of his role pressing down on him more than ever. The praise from Elon, the cheers from the team, all seem distant now. The true work has just begun. Scaling the system, integrating it into complex real-world applications, those are the challenges that lie ahead, and they are far from simple. One evening, Chris finds himself in the conference room alone, staring at the massive screen in front of him. Data flows across the screen in real time, illustrating both the progress and the glaring gaps in their work. The AI is performing better than expected, but it's not flawless. There are inconsistencies, unexpected reactions to certain stimuli, and anomalies in the data that need to be addressed. For the first time since joining Tesla, Chris feels a wave of doubt creep in. Can we really make this work at scale? The thought lingers, a quiet but insistent whisper in the back of his mind. A knock on the door pulls him from his thoughts. Elon enters, looking as composed as ever, though there's a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "You've been at this for hours, haven't you?" Elon asks, a slight smile playing at his lips. Chris rubs his eyes, nodding. "Yeah, I'm just going through the test data again. There's progress, but I'm starting to see some issues we need to address before we go any further." Elon steps closer to the screen, studying the data with the same level of intensity Chris has come to expect from him. "There will always be issues," Elon says, his voice calm but firm. "The real test is whether we're able to solve them, adapt, and move forward. But Chris, what you've built here, this is more than I expected, and I know you've only scratched the surface." Chris turns toward him, a hint of frustration creeping into his voice. "It's not enough, Elon. We're on the brink of something huge, but I'm still unsure if we can make it work outside of these controlled environments. We need more data, more tests, and more time." Elon watches him quietly for a moment, as though weighing his words. Then, with a slight nod, he responds, "The real world doesn't give us time, Chris. But you're right about one thing. We need to push the boundaries even further. We need to test it in ways no one else has." Chris exhales slowly, feeling the weight of the conversation pressing in. "I know. It feels like every step forward means two more obstacles appear. The pressure is getting to me." Elon places a hand on his shoulder, an uncharacteristically gentle gesture. "The pressure is part of the process. But you're not alone in this. Your team believes in you. Hell, I believe in you. You've already accomplished something that many people thought was impossible. And this is just the beginning." Chris meets his gaze, a mixture of gratitude and doubt swirling within him. "I just need to know if I can keep leading this, if I can keep pushing the team, pushing myself, without losing sight of the goal." Elon gives him a small but meaningful smile. "You already have, Chris. You've shown everyone here that you're capable of far more than you thought possible. The next step is about trusting yourself as much as the people around you trust you." As the words settle, Chris feels a new sense of resolve building inside him. He may not have all the answers, but he knows that his ability to lead doesn't lie in perfection. It lies in resilience, in the willingness to confront the obstacles head-on and find a way forward, even when the path seems unclear. Later that night, as Chris walks through the Tesla campus, he feels a strange sense of clarity. The weight of leadership is heavy, yes, but it's also something he's beginning to embrace. The team isn't just looking to him for technical expertise, they're looking for vision, for someone who can guide them through the uncertainty. And that responsibility, though daunting, is something Chris realizes he's ready to shoulder. The following morning, he calls a meeting with his team, his heart racing as he stands in front of them. There's no grand speech, no carefully rehearsed lines. Instead, Chris speaks from the heart, acknowledging the challenges they face, but also the opportunities they have to change the world. "We've hit a milestone," he begins, his voice steady but passionate. "But the real work starts now. We need to push harder, test further, and keep adapting. I know it won't be easy, but I believe in this team, and I believe in what we're building." The room is quiet for a moment, but then, one by one, the team members nod in agreement. They don't just see him as the leader because of his title, they see him as someone who's willing to fight for the project, to fight for the future they're all creating together. As the meeting wraps up and the team scatters to their tasks, Chris stands there for a moment, a quiet sense of pride swelling within him. It's not just the breakthroughs, the technology, or the accolades that matter now. It's the trust, the collaboration, and the belief in one another that will carry them forward. And with that realization, Chris knows that whatever comes next, whatever challenges they will face them together. And for the first time, He feels certain that they will succeed. Weeks pass in a blur, each day filled with the relentless pursuit of perfection. The AI system is evolving, improving faster than Chris could have hoped for, but with the progress comes new pressure. Every success brings with it the unspoken expectation that the next step must be even more impressive, more groundbreaking. It's a weight that grows heavier with each passing day. Chris finds himself in the conference room once again, surrounded by the team, who are now deeply invested in pushing the AI to the next level. Their work has become more than just a technical project. It's a race against time, against competition, against their own self-imposed limitations. "All right," Chris says, standing at the head of the table. His voice carries more authority now than it ever has, though there's a trace of uncertainty beneath the surface. He's learned the technicalities, the leadership skills, but the fear of failure still lingers. He can't let it show. Not now. Not when the stakes are this high. We've made great strides, but the real test is coming now. We need to scale this. We need to take the AI from a prototype to a fully functional system that can handle millions of variables at once. We're not just testing it in isolated scenarios anymore. We need to see how it adapts to the real world. The room falls silent. The engineers and developers are staring at their screens, but Chris knows they're all processing what he just said. They all know what's at stake. There's no turning back now. Emma, one of the senior engineers, speaks up, her voice calm but skeptical. "What exactly are you proposing? We've been running it in controlled environments, but scaling it to handle real-time global data is another thing entirely." Chris looks directly at her, his gaze unwavering. "I know it's a leap, but if we don't push it, we'll never know what it's truly capable of. We've spent weeks perfecting the system in isolation, but it's time to put it to the test. We need to introduce it to chaos, to unpredictability." He lets the words hang in the air for a moment. It's a bold idea, and he can feel the weight of their eyes on him. This is the point where many would hesitate, where they'd find a safer route, a more controlled experiment. But Chris knows that the future of this project lies in the unknown. Max, another member of the team, leans forward. "It's risky," he says, his tone pragmatic. "If we fail, it could set us back months, maybe longer." Chris nods, acknowledging the truth of Max's words. But this is the moment that will define them. "I'm aware of the risks," he responds, "but we're not here to play it safe. We're here to change the world. If we don't take the risk, we'll never get to where we want to be." There's a long pause before Elon speaks up from the back of the room. His presence is calm, but commanding. Chris is right. It's time to go beyond the controlled tests. Let's see if this AI can handle real-world complexity. If we fail, we'll learn from it. But if we succeed, if we truly unlock its potential, it'll be a game changer. Chris turns to Elon, grateful for his support, but also aware of the immense responsibility that comes with this decision. This isn't just about technology anymore. It's about leadership, about guiding this team through the unknown. The next few days are filled with frenetic energy. Chris and the team work long hours, refining the AI, preparing it for the next stage. They develop new tests, throw new challenges at it, and monitor every decision it makes, every piece of data it processes. It's chaos. But chaos, Chris realizes, is what they need. Late one evening, as Chris sits alone in the conference room, reviewing the latest results, a familiar ping vibrates from his phone. It's a message from Lucas, the old friend who had always believed in him. "How's the project going? You still fighting the good fight?" Chris stares at the message, a small smile tugging at his lips. He types back quickly. "The good fight is never easy, but we're getting there. We're about to take the next big step." There's a brief pause before Lucas replies, "I know you're going to make it happen. Just remember, it's about the journey, not just the destination." Chris leans back in his chair, letting the words settle over him. He's been so focused on the end goal, on making the project succeed, that he's forgotten to appreciate how far he's come. He remembers the gas station, the sleepless nights spent coding alone, the self-doubt that almost held him back. And yet, here he is, on the cusp of something greater than he ever imagined. The journey has been long, but it's not over yet. The next day, Chris stands in front of the team once more, ready to take the next step. They are about to enter uncharted territory. But for the first time, Chris feels like he's not just leading a team, he's leading a revolution. "We're about to push this system beyond its limits," he says, his voice steady. "But we're doing it together. No matter what happens, we're learning. And that's what counts." The team responds with a collective nod, the weight of the task ahead settling in. They're not just working on a project, they're part of something much bigger. They're about to challenge everything they know about AI, about technology, about the future. As Chris watches his team prepare, he realizes that this moment, the risk, the challenge, is exactly where he belongs. It's not just the technology that's evolving, it's him. He's no longer the uncertain coder in a gas station. He's the leader of a movement, a team, and a project that could change the world. And with that thought, he steps forward, ready to face whatever comes next.